And welcome back for another video here at the Football Expert. My name is Reikley Ruby, your host for another prediction here today. An Auburn football prediction we have here on the 2026 Auburn Tigers, and a very new spot for this Auburn team, bringing in a new coach in Alex Golish, the former South Florida head coach that had a fantastic season there, where he was doing a great job, whether it's his offensive prowess or otherwise. He is a good coach. And honestly, I think a really good hire. I think that Golish is in a good position to do some good things, where he has been in the SEC before, the offensive coordinator and tight end coach at Tennessee, before moving on to the head coaching job at South Florida, where he was 23-15 overall. So a very interesting spot to be in for the young 41-year-old Alex Golish, who went 9-3 in his last season and went 7-7 in his first two seasons. So that brings us to the Auburn Tigers schedule. It starts off with a home game, well, a neutral site game, I should say, against Baylor in Atlanta, Georgia. So kind of a home game for Auburn. At least there's probably going to be more Auburn fans there than Baylor fans. But new quarterback Byron Brown, 3,200 yards last season, 66% completion percentage, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. A great player for Golish there at South Florida. Other than getting hurt in his, I guess, junior campaign, he is a redshirt senior this year, so maybe a redshirt sophomore year. That for him, but when we're looking at this Auburn team, a lot of transfers, especially on the offensive end. You have transfers at left and right tackle, at two wide receiver positions, left guard, left tackle, and even center. I think right guard is the only position, and along with the running back in Jeremiah Cobb, who was a really good running back last year, 969 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns. Where he was playing with Jackson Arnold, the quarterback there. The biggest problem is that you did lose Cam Coleman to the portal, and with that, it really did add to a lot of struggles there, or could lead to a lot of struggles there for Auburn. So there is that. But when we're looking at it, home neutral site game against Baylor, I keep wanting to say home game. I have this as a loss for him. I just think that the offense may struggle a little bit. There's just a lot of new pieces. They may win this game. They may very well win it. But Dave Aranda in his 5th year at Auburn or at Baylor, I think that he's a better coach in that position, or at least experience-wise. So I have a loss there. Then you have a game against Southern Mississippi. Easy win against the Golden Eagles. You shouldn't have too many problems there, as you get a win there early on in your season. Getting to 1-1 with a home game against Florida. This is what I would say is kind of a must-win type of territory for Golish to be able to have a successful first season. I know it's crazy to say must-win in 3rd ever game as a head coach, but he and John Summerall at Florida, the former Tulane head coach, both in their first year. I feel like you got to win this game if you want any shot at really succeeding in the SEC. So you got to get a win there. I think they do. I think that you are doing better for that with a win there. Then you have a home game against Vanderbilt. I think that one will be a very interesting matchup to see what happens there, because Vanderbilt is a team that, honestly has a lot of factors going for them, but no Diego Pavia this year. Clark Lee having bringing a lot of new players. So I think that it could lead to an Auburn advantage there, with it being homecoming even at Auburn and being a home game for Auburn. But I do think that it is going to be another loss. I think that they are 2-2 at the beginning of this year, just because Vanderbilt, even though they do have to replace Pavi and they do have to replace Stowers and a lot of production on the offense end, I just trust Clark Lee a little more than I trust Golish right now. So I have them winning that game there. Then they have a road game against Tennessee. This game will be really telling that it should be, well, honestly, interesting to see what happens with a game like this. The first really true road test for Golish. And with that, I think it is going to be interesting to see what happens there in Tennessee. But I think that it is a easy loss for the Tigers. Even though Byron Brown, I think, is a great quarterback and going to do great things with this offense, I do think that it's going to take a little while to really get going with the other players in this offense. Even though he had the 42 combined all purpose touchdowns last year. Then you have a bye week, and then you have a road game against Georgia. I'm sorry, but this is just not going to be a win here. That just in no way is Auburn going to be able to beat Georgia. They have played well against Georgia in many occasions, but it's going to be a loss there. They're just road game against Georgia, very easy loss there. So you're not 2-4 on the season. You got a home game against LSU. That is going to be an incredibly interesting game with the first-year head coach of Lane Kiffin at LSU, unless if he leaves in between this time. So I think that you should have a possible interesting game here because I haven't looked at LSU's schedule quite yet. I actually can pull it up here and see who LSU is playing before this, but I think it would be really interesting to see what it looks like for LSU. They actually play Mississippi State and Kentucky before that game. So they are going to be coming in that game pretty well rested relatively, but they have a bye week the next week and then a look ahead to Alabama, Texas, and Tennessee. So I am going to have a steal game here for Auburn. I think Auburn gets a win here, corrects the ship, is 3-4, heading on the road to Ole Miss. So they really need to get a correction win here. Otherwise, the back half of the schedule could really get ugly really fast if they don't. So I think they do get a win there in Jordan Hare. I think the home field advantage that Auburn has is profound, is one of the best home field advantages of any team in the entire country. So I think that they get a win there. Then a road game against Ole Miss. And it is a tough game against the Rebels, who I honestly, if you saw the video that we just put out of the college football playoff predictions, you would see that I have all Ole Miss in the playoffs. So I think that this is going to be a win for Ole Miss. I think that Ole Miss is just a superior team. If they didn't have Trinidad Chambliss coming back, if they didn't have Pete Golden coming back, then it would be a little more interesting to see what happens there. But I think with the continuity of Golden still at Ole Miss and then having Trinidad Chambliss there, I like Ole Miss in this scenario. Then you have a home game against Arkansas. This is where I think the season gets a little bit better here. I think you can rattle off some wins in this back half of the November schedule. Arkansas is a team that Ryan Silverfield, the new head coach, the former coach of Memphis, I just honestly think, I believe, if I remember correctly, I forget whether it's Summerall or Golish, but I think they were going after Golish and Auburn won that fight. So I think that Arkansas here is just, they have a lot of things going for them if they weren't in the SEC, but they're in the SEC in such a tough conference to play in day in, day out. So I do have a win here for Auburn. I think they get back on track with win against Arkansas. They get their fourth win of the season there. Then they have a road game against Mississippi State. I think once again, they are able to have a good season here. I don't know what I think of Jeff Lebby. I think that Lebby is he's a good offensive coordinator, but I don't know what I think of him as a head coach quite yet. I could be completely wrong. I was wrong about Tony Elliott at Virginia. Completely missed that one. So I could be wrong about Lebby, but I just don't know if I love Lebby as a head coach. They went 5-7 or 5-8 last year with the bowl game that they got in with all of everybody opting out of the bowl games. So I just think that Auburn the better team in this matchup. So I think that they get a win there on the road, steal a SEC road game, which is incredibly important. Always tough to win an SEC road game. Then you have Samford. Easy win. Shouldn't have any problems. Just don't want to look ahead too much to that road game and that final game of the season against Alabama. Road game at Tuscaloosa. And if this one was at Jordan-Hare, I would have an incredibly interesting time seeing who I'd pick for this game. But with it being at Tuscaloosa and kind of a must-win game for a guy like Kalen DeBoer, whether they're 11-0 or they're 10-1 or 9-2 coming into this game, it's a must-win game for Kalen DeBoer. You got to win this game if you're Kalen. You can't let Alex Golish beat you in that first game because then that would just set a tone. And it's a tone that I know many Auburn fans that are watching want that, but I got to see a little bit more out of Auburn. Maybe my prediction will change as we get into the season, but right now I think Auburn is a team that has a lot of improvement to go. But at the same time, Auburn's a team that also, you brought in a lot of transfers. As we know, you can go from worst to best easy in college football really quickly. It's what we saw in Indiana, a team that was just floundering in the bottom of the Big Ten, but all of a sudden won a national championship 2 years later with Kurt Cinetti. We'll see what Alex Golish does here at Auburn. I think Auburn is a fun team this year with Byron Brown. So we'll see what happens. But as always, click one of the two videos down below. The playlist of all of my college football predictions is over here. Hit the subscribe button up here as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe, like the video, comment down below your thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you think Auburn finishes with as well. And as always, hope you guys have a great day. Bye.